Thank you. I think you have the clicker.
Yeah, that's right.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So it is true, I was going to ask a couple of questions from the audience, but it's really hard to see you. So are you out there? Yes, okay, excellent. So wanted to thank my good friend Darian. We have had an opportunity to work together in many different occasions, mostly on energy and environment issues, really trying to make an impact in San Francisco. And now I'm truly honored to be the director of the San Francisco Department of the Environment, which is actually a city agency. Sometimes people do mistake us for a nonprofit, but we're a city agency that works to implement innovative policies and programs that protect the environment, that create green jobs, and that work to build social equity. So I really wanted to come to TEDx today, and I'm really honored to be here, to talk with all of you about what the city has done and how business can really be and should really be and is in many ways a partner in achieving true sustainability in San Francisco and nationwide. So San Francisco is a sustainable city for the 21st century. I wanted to talk with you all about some of the policies that make that so. But before we do that, I'm going to touch a little bit on the problem. I'm sure that all of you in this room are aware we have a serious problem addressing climate change. Climate change at the moment is coming our way. Right now, 80% of the carbon emissions do come from cities around the world. And in fact, in 2004, that was the first time in human history where more people were living in urban environments than in rural environments. And finally, about 75% of the natural resource consumption does come from urban areas. So as you can see, they're really a part of the problem, but have to be a part of the solution. And just to bring it local, here you see a map of San Francisco as you see it today. You can see our ballpark, the downtown area, the Bayview, and right now, if we continue on the path that we're on in terms of emitting greenhouse gas emissions at the current rate, it is projected there will be a 1-meter sea level rise in the Bay Area, which would cause about $48 billion of damage to our infrastructure. And here you can see that is what it looks like. Our ballpark would partially be underwater, portions of the Bayview, portions of the financial district. Pretty scary. It's definitely pretty scary, and that's the path that we're currently on. So the question is, where do the emissions come from in San Francisco? What are the areas that we really need to tackle to ensure we can address greenhouse gas emissions and ward off this 1-meter sea level rise in the Bay Area? Right now, about 36% of our greenhouse gas emissions come from the transportation sector. As you can see, only a small portion is our public transportation. 30% is from cars, single occupancy vehicles that are driven in San Francisco. The other large portion is from buildings. If you add up the residential, commercial, and municipal facility sector, that's about 66% of greenhouse gas emissions are coming from buildings. The good news is San Francisco is leading by example. We were one of the first cities to meet the Kyoto Protocol of reducing our carbon emissions by 7% below 1990 levels. So we've gotten that far, but we do have a goal of reducing our carbon emissions 20% below 1990 levels. We would like to do that at least by 2020, if not sooner. So here in San Francisco, we have a number of innovative policies that we've already implemented to help reach these goals. First slide I would like to show you is our friend, the plastic bag monster. He reminds us about the plastic bags and the harm that they impose on our marine environment. San Francisco was one of the first cities to ban plastic bags. We also were one of the first cities to implement a mandatory composting and recycling program. We also have a very robust green business program. If any of you are a small business in San Francisco, this is a great opportunity to green your business from A to Z and get certification from the city on being a green business. And as I mentioned before, 36% of the carbon emissions do come from transportation. So how are we going to address that sector? One of the very first ways is getting people out of their cars. We are a transit-first city, so we encourage every and all opportunities of people to get on a bus, on their bike, walking, certainly getting out of vehicles first. But of course, single occupancy vehicles are still a key part of our transportation infrastructure. So we're working very hard right now to implement electric vehicle infrastructure in San Francisco. How many of you out there have electric vehicles? A few? I see a few hands. Okay. Early adopters, which is fantastic. We want to make sure that range anxiety, which is what a lot of folks have right now and why people are not yet buying. Have you heard of range anxiety? It's something that really exists. So the question is, if you want to buy an electric vehicle and you want to be an early adopter, how are you going to make sure that if you run out of battery, you can charge it? Seems really simple, but that is true. Range anxiety exists. So we are implementing about 60 electric vehicle charging stations throughout San Francisco in the next 6 months to deal with range anxiety. And yes, thank you, yes. And also, we're working very hard with the Bike Coalition to build out a complete infrastructure of bike lanes and bike paths in San Francisco. The goal is to ensure that an 8-year-old can feel safe biking anywhere in San Francisco, and an 80-year-old can feel safe biking anywhere in San Francisco. Yes. And we do have a goal of making sure that 20% of our bike trips are, I'm sorry, let's see, this is not coming up. The goal is for 20% of our bike trips by 2020 to be all by bicycle. There we go. 20% of all trips by bicycle by 2020. Sorry, my clicker's being a little slow here. So as I've talked about, these are some of the government policies that we've implemented that are helping us reach our sustainability goals. Clearly, clean tech and the business sector need to be part of it. So we are right next to what is currently the clean tech capital, Silicon Valley, of course, but we're working very actively with the Office of Economic and Workforce Development to find ways to attract and retain clean tech businesses in San Francisco and make sure that they help us meet our goals as well. I want to touch also on a few smart developments in San Francisco. We have Treasure Island, which is going to be one of the most walkable, livable communities in the country. We also have the Transbay Terminal is in San Francisco being built right now. I'm sure many of you have seen the demolition of our old bus station making way for high-speed rail in San Francisco. And also Hunters Point development, which is going to be an opportunity to have an eco-center, an eco-hub for clean technology, and they'll be hiring locally to do the development. And another critical element, of course, is creating green jobs. In San Francisco, since 2007, we've created 1,000 new green jobs, but that doesn't take into account all of the sectors that have been greened and now have green jobs as well. Everything from dry cleaning sector, janitorial sector, all the building trades. And now for those of you, since this conference is business not as usual 3.0, since we're the government, we're at 2.0, I have to admit, but we're still very excited about that. SF Gov 2.0 is something that was launched where Data SF is a website where any of the data sets that departments manage are now available for free as an open source platform. And this has really been a way to inspire technology and new apps so that people can interact with their government and make their interaction meaningful. So some of those tools are 311, Cycle Tracks, and the Eco Finder. I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to go through a few more of these slides. So SF Environment, which is our local Department of the Environment, is leading the way in a very particular way, which is we are promoting integrated sustainability. And integrated sustainability we think about as all of our programs and policies in San Francisco, we want not only to be protecting the natural and urban environment, but we want to make sure that they also have economic benefit as well as social benefit. And just a few examples of those programs. I mentioned before our mandatory composting and recycling program. I thought that was going to happen. Excuse me. Our mandatory composting and recycling program, we right now are diverting about 77% of our waste from the landfill. That's recycling and composting. That's actually the highest in the nation. So thank you to everyone in this room who participates in our recycling and composting. In addition, the mandatory composting and recycling law has helped increase the number of jobs employed by Recology to 1,000. So right now, 1,000 people are being employed doing recycling and composting in San Francisco. Energy efficiency, this has been a huge success. Right now, about $6 million has been saved for businesses that have implemented energy efficiency measures. And I did also want to put this slide up here. I don't know if anyone has ever seen a mouse trap on top of a light switch. It can be a very effective way to not get people to turn on the lights. So just wanted to show you that. And a couple of other programs, of course, Renewables is key to both helping us meet our environmental, economic, and social goals. That's the solar map for any of you who are interested in putting solar on your home. And then finally, or actually there's two more programs, green building. The existing commercial building ordinance just passed in San Francisco. What this measure does is mandates that any commercial building over 10,000 square feet must have an energy audit within the next year, and then every 3 years following that. The reason that is so significant is our Energy Watch program that I just showed you. Whenever a business was able to get a free audit, about 60% of those businesses that got the information about how to save energy and save money did a retrofit and invested money. So this is going to be really significant. We think that the existing commercial building ordinance may, in fact, help to decrease energy use in commercial buildings 50% by 2020. And then I just want to end on this slide. One other program that the Department of the Environment is currently involved in, and is one of the programs that is very near and dear to my heart, is our Environment Now program. This is a green jobs training program where we have hired about 20 individuals from the Bayview and Western Addition to learn sustainability and to plug into all the programs that we have at the department. And I have been so inspired whenever I have met with the Environment Now team to hear their story about where they had been, the lives that they had led, and how Environment Now had really made a difference for them because they're able to see the individual change that they can make on programs. So it's been really inspiring, and it's an investment that we've made, again, not just in the environment, but in people. So the future of San Francisco is going to be a San Francisco where green and sustainability are meaningless, because those are going to be elements that are integrated into everything that we do. And the way that we're going to get there is by taking action. It's an all-hands-on-deck approach. So I'd just like to say, if you're a business, please think about becoming a green business and partnering with the city so that we really can have an SFGov 3.0 with your help. If you're an individual, go home today, and if nothing else, talk to your family and your neighbors about being more sustainable and environmental. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.